Can I hang on to the wheel of the European Fondo champion, or will the power of his all-white skin suit be too much for me to handle? I'm coming off a brutal second place finish the previous weekend and hoping to try to go one better here at La Vençoise. What a beautiful morning. We're lined up today for Granfondo La Vençoise. This event takes place just outside of Nice, and it's 147 kilometers with 2,800 meters of climbing. I rode over to the start this morning in Vence from Nice, so I already had about 32 kilometers in the legs, just nice and easy. And we start up the first climb, Col de Vence, which you might have seen on my channel before when I took the KOM. We're not going to go quite that fast today, but I was excited for what should be a really fun course. This intersection at the bottom of the climb is a little bit hectic. You can see I had to squeeze past a car there. It's an open road, but we are using the whole thing. And there's a little bit of traffic calming there at the bottom of the climb. So squeezing through and then just eventually working my way up. We had a guy on an e-bike here. I think he's maybe part of the race organization. I had to work my way through quite a few riders at the bottom of the climb because I got to the starting paddock just before we started. But then once I got to the front, I could see there was already an attack happening. So there's a few guys here who are chasing on, and I'm just trying to get to the front as quickly as I can to make sure I'm not missing out on any moves. I could see he wasn't holding the wheel, so I had to come around even though I was already doing 500 watts, which is definitely a spicy way to start the morning off. Already 170 beats per minute. This is pretty much at the bottom of the climb, and then the sped up section here was a very painful, like 30-45 seconds, so I had to just push really hard to get back onto the wheel, but I managed to get there. And then from here, we already have our group for the day pretty much. So the guy in front of me is Nicola Calipa, a guy from Officine Matteo, this really strong Granfondo team from Italy that you might have seen in some of my previous videos. And the other guy is Benjamin Bouchette. He's the European Medio Fondo champion. So he has this really sick all-white European champs kit for the race, which is definitely giving him at least 20 watts. So it was just the three of us here at the bottom of the climb, and I wasn't going to pull turns. So you see there I had Nicola come back in on the wheel. But then we also had a fourth guy here who was doing the Medio Fondo, so the slightly shorter distance. I was just trying to sit in the wheels here. We have a long way to go. This is just the first climb of the day, so there wasn't any point in going crazy.
I'm just here for a YouTube video. I don't want to work this hard, man.
There's no point in doing any kind of attacking to try to be solo for the whole rest of the event. Wasn't exactly on my plan. After that initial crazy attack by Benjamin, it kind of settled down a little bit and we were able to just work together. Some really beautiful views at the top of Col de Vence. So you can see today we went up in 27:36, 364 watts average, almost 4 minutes slower than my KOM. So it was a little bit hard there at the beginning, but then pretty steady for the rest. And we're quickly onto a descent here, going quite fast down to the next climb. This one's kind of a climb in two halves. So we have this first section, then a little bit of flat through the town of Gourdon. So it's 26.5 minutes at 3:56, but a little bit more in that last section. At this point, I was just trying to stay on top of my carbs and stay relaxed while taking easy pulls in the group, just keeping the pace steady. I didn't know Benjamin before this, but it turns out I think he's won the last two editions of this Fondo. He's not from this area, he's from Valence, but it seems like he really enjoys this event because he's come down the last couple of years to do it. And I think in previous years, he's won solo, pretty much going from the first climb. So I guess this is a little bit of a change for him. But he's obviously a really strong rider. His big goal for the year is to try to win the French National Time Trial Championships. So I wish him good luck for that. It's a pretty cool goal. This second half of that second climb, we did 16 minutes, 19 seconds at 3:72. We were all taking pretty even turns on the climb, but we actually dropped the guy from the shorter distance. So it was just the three of us now, myself, Benjamin, and Nicola. We had about 15 kilometers between the summit of Col de Lec, that last climb, and then another short climb coming up. We averaged just under 41 kilometers an hour here, but pretty easy, only 282 watts for this section. We were just rolling turns, probably low 300s on the front, but it's super fast up here with the high elevation and the smooth roads. At this point, we just had to have a little bit of a truce because there's a long way to go in the day, and we got to work together at some point to get through the kilometers. For nutrition for this event, I had two 150 gram bottles on me and then a soft flask with about another 50 grams. So I had quite a bit for a 4-hour ride, but I was also planning to get a bottle from my friend Sam later in the race. You can see Nicola already taking a bottle from his support there at the top of this climb. That was 8.5 minutes at 363 watts. That's the last little climb before now we have a lot more of that plateau rolling fast roads. For this section towards the next climb, it was 35.5 kilometers with almost 43 kilometers an hour average at only 272 watts. These roads are crazy fast up here, over 1,000 meters. We had a nice tailwind. It was feeling pretty fast, pretty fun. It was nice rolling turns with the guys. I was surprised how eager they were to come through. You can see Nicola there actually started coming through before I even flicked him, and that kept happening a lot. I was a bit surprised, but I guess they wanted to get it over with fast. Yeah, I was definitely not pulling too hard, just keeping it like low 300s. That meant we got very quickly onto the bottom of Col de Blain, the second to last climb of the day. So a little incident there with, we had a lead moto and lead car, and I don't know, for some reason they were kind of stopped in the road. But no worries, we got past and then they came back around again. This one is just over 4 kilometers at 6%, but it goes up over 1,400 meters to the highest elevation of the day. I think we were all starting to feel pretty tired at this point, but no one was attacking. It was just Benjamin riding on the front at his pace. So you can see there, Nicola came off the wheel and started going backwards, so I came around him. He was just setting like a steady, pretty hard pace from the bottom. I guess he kind of expected us to just drop off the wheel, which Nicola did, but I definitely wasn't feeling bad enough at this point that I was going to drop off the wheel. I didn't want to take any turns though, because he clearly seemed quite confident in his own ability, and at this point in the race he definitely seemed strong. He did ask me to pull through once, but I just said no. I told him I was cooked. So that was 11.5 minutes at 381. In isolation, that's definitely not a hard effort, but at this point I'd done 3 hours at about 300 watts normalized, not even including the hour commute to the start of the race, so I was definitely starting to feel it, but not horrible. Now we have some footage from my friends Paul and Sam, who rode out to bring me a bottle on the course, which is very nice.
Let's go, Drake! Allez!
Looking good.
Allez, Drake! Allez!
Woo! Yeah, let's go!
My number one hype man, Sammy, coming through as always with a pro level bottle handoff. Perfectly executed for another 100 grams of carbs in that bottle to get me through the last climb and to the finish of the race. We have a really beautiful descent here down to the town of Granfondo, and you might actually recognize this descent from the James Bond movie GoldenEye, where they have a pretty funny car chase scene where they actually almost kill a group of cyclists in their Ferrari, as you can see here. It's right on this descent, and then somehow at the end of the car chase, they're right outside of Monaco, which is like 50 kilometers away. So they took a little bit of creative liberty there, but they did find an absolutely stunning road. This descent and the last climb to come are actually part of the Nice Ironman bike course as well. So you might recognize it from that. We had a little bit of traffic going through Granfondo, and now we just have a little bit more descending into the roundabout here at the bottom, which starts the final climb of the day. And I didn't actually get any footage of it because Benjamin surprised me, but we were passing a few riders from the Medio Fondo at the bottom, just like these guys here, and we went opposite ways to go past them, and then I guess he took that opportunity to attack. So I wasn't in the wheel and I was trying to get around these riders, and then he just hit it really hard. I think I did like 30 seconds at like 600 watts to try to get back on the wheel, but I just couldn't manage. I actually felt okay at this point, so I kept pushing hard, but I could see him just slowly gaining time on me up in front. I did this climb 1422 at 379 watts, but I was pretty much maxed out at the top of this, started feeling quite bad, and then we had a little bit more of a false flat rise back up to Col de Vence, where I just tried to keep some power in it, but my legs were completely blown. This is some of the worst I've ever felt on the bike, and I ended up finishing with a 2-minute deficit. I think most of that was from the last little bit up to the finish line, where I was just struggling to try to go 300 watts. But I came out to congratulate Ben at the end. That was a really strong ride by him, and he was just better than me on the day, for sure.
Bien joué.
Bien joué, voilà, c'était bien.
Oh, that's some of the most cooked I felt on the bike. I couldn't even feel my legs the last few minutes. Benjamin did a really high pace on the second to last climb. I could tell he felt quite good. I pulled a couple like very light turns with him, but I knew it was going to be tough to hang on. And then on that last climb, he just did a big acceleration at the bottom when we had to go around a rider and from the short course, and I just couldn't quite get back on the wheel. And then it was a really long straight road, so I could just see him going ahead in the distance, but just couldn't quite close the gap. Still decently happy with the second place, following up from Lazarides last weekend, another second place. We finished at the top of Col de Vence here where we came up to start, and then I'll have to descend back down to the start. It's neutralized.
Qui est américain. Good job. Voilà, Benjamin Bouchetot, 3 fautes. Vainqueur de cette Vençoise.
I am now leading the local Fondo series. That's why I got this jersey. So doing a few more of these events, and stay tuned if you want to see those videos. Thanks for watching.